Elon Musk. Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Elon Musk,
Right.
Mars colonizer.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Exactly.
But it's true. We saw the news.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, wait, what?
Uh-huh.
So that's what we're going to deep dive on today.
Okay.
We saw this article.
All right.
And we thought, okay.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. We have to dig into this.
Absolutely.
Why would anyone nominate Elon Musk?
Right.
Known for his, well, let's face it,
Uh-huh.
kind of out there tweets and his companies and everything for a Nobel Peace Prize.
It's a very interesting question to ask.
Yeah. Let's start by laying out what we know.
Yeah.
Okay. So the nomination itself was submitted on January 29th by a member of the European Parliament.
Okay.
His name is Branko Grims. And the reason he gave was consistent commitment to the fundamental human right to freedom of expression.
Right.
And thus to peace. So he's really connecting free speech with peace.
That's a big connection to make.
Yeah. So, I mean, how common is that? I mean, when we think about the Nobel Peace Prize,
right?
We think about,
well, I mean, you're thinking about direct actions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're thinking about like
treaties.
I don't know.
Ending wars and things.
Like Doctors Without Borders.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So where does free speech come in?
So it has evolved over time, the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
So the Nobel Peace Prize has a long history, right? And it is about, you know, bringing nations together. It's about reducing military forces.
Yeah.
It's about promoting peace. And I think people who are giving out this award now are looking at it
more broadly. And they're saying, okay, free speech, how does that contribute to peace? And I think one way to think about it is when people can speak freely, when people can dissent, when they can challenge the status quo, that can lead to more peaceful resolutions. Because if people can voice their concerns, if they can voice their grievances, if they can share their ideas, then things are less likely to sort of...
Oh, so it's sort of like...
bubble over.
Preventing violence.
Yeah.
By
if
giving
you get an outlet.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just thinking...
It's messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In theory, that makes sense.
Right.
But how does that play out with someone like Elon Musk?
Right.
I mean, he's a very controversial figure.
Yes, absolutely.
And some of his recent actions have been, well, I mean, pretty surprising to a lot of people. So, for example, he appeared at the Alternative for Germany Party Congress.
I saw that.
The AfD, which is a far-right party.
Which is considered far-right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he endorsed them.
He did.
He said, you know, I think they represent the best hope for Germany.
Uh-huh.
And that got a lot of people talking.
Including a lot of world leaders.
Yeah.
Like French Prime Minister François Bayrou.
François Bayrou, yeah.
Who said that Musk
is a threat
to democracy.
Democracy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, of course, this is all happening in the context of Musk's criticism of France.
Criticizing France.
And other European countries.
Right. So
it's messy.
How do we square that circle?
Yeah.
I mean, can we?
How do we?
Endorsing a party like that.
Yeah, how do you endorse?
And then claiming to
be committed to peace and be committed to peace.
Yeah.
It's a good question. And I think...
a tough one.
It's a really tough one.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an easy answer.
Right.
I think on the one hand, you have people who will say, look, if you are aligning yourself with a party that has such... controversial and some might say dangerous viewpoints, that undermines the very idea of peace.
Right.
But then you have people who say, well, even if you find someone's views reprehensible, they still have a right to free speech.
Right.
And maybe engaging with them, even if it's through an endorsement, is a form of promoting dialogue. It's that old idea that I may hate what you say, but I'll defend to the death.
I disapprove of what you say. I'll defend to the death your right to say it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It is tricky.
It is tricky.
So how do we judge the impact of free speech on peace?
Yeah. How do we know if it's helping or hurting?
Well, I think one thing to remember is that free speech, especially in the digital age, can be very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And it's not just about individuals having conversations.
Right.
It's about people with huge platforms like Elon Musk, who has over 100 million followers on Twitter.
Yeah.
And he can, with one tweet, send shockwaves through market. He can influence public opinion. He can even impact international relations.
Right. It's free speech, but it's
amplified.
It's amplified. Yeah.
It's free speech on steroids.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I think this nomination is so interesting. Yeah. Because it really makes us think about what free speech means in the 21st century. What peace means in the 21st century.
It's almost like it's this paradox, right?
It is. It is a paradox.
Where you've got this guy who's being nominated for a Peace Prize, but some of his actions are making people question whether he's actually a force for peace.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes it a fascinating topic to discuss.
Yeah. And I think it really highlights how complicated this whole issue is.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about Elon Musk.
Right.
It's about all of us.
Yeah.
It's about the power of these platforms that we all use.
Absolutely.
And the responsibility that comes with that.
The responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah. So I guess the big question that we're left with, and that I want our listeners to really think about is, does free speech, especially when it's amplified on a global scale, actually lead to a more peaceful world?
That's the question.
Or could it actually be making things worse?
Could it be sowing division?
Yeah.
Could it be leading to more instability?
Yeah. That's something for everyone.
Something to think about.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, that's our deep dive for today.
Fascinating topic.
Super interesting.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.